I wanted to spend a few minutes and talk a little bit team strategies with you in general, as well as talk a little bit about the strategy to use on WOD 1 and WOD 2 of this year's challenge. Firstly, in terms of team competitions, you need to make sure you've got a plan. You need to plan ahead. You need to know who your team members are. You need to know what their strengths and their weaknesses are. You also need to have a good idea of how many repetitions of each movement you can actually do before your pace starts to slow. It's a very good idea never to go to failure in a team competition, because the time it takes for you to recover is longer. It's also you actually take up valuable time, by performing a movement more slowly than one of your teammates could be doing it, who's feeling a little fresher because they've had a bit of rest. If you have somebody who's particularly strong in one of the movements, they ought to do more of that movement than something that they're weaker at. So use your team's strengths to your advantage. Make sure you talk to each other during the transitions. For example, if you feel that you've got 2 more repetitions to go before you're ready to switch, make sure you tell the next person 2 more reps, and they know that as soon as you've done those 2 reps, they can then step in and take over. Don't just drop the ball and let them, lose a few seconds with them wondering whether it's their time to step in or whether you've just dropped the ball for a couple of seconds. No missed reps. Don't miss any reps. Make sure every single rep you do is to the required standard and meets the required movement standards. So for WOD 1, which is a 2K row, every athlete, each of your team members has to row at least 1 meter. So everybody has to be on the rower. Ideally, you'd like to minimize the number of transitions you're going to have, so make sure you're on the rower only once. You need to leave the foot straps open so that it's easy for the next person to get in and strap themselves in. Alright, we've practiced that. You know how to do that. You know how to pull your feet back, push the straps open, pull your feet back, leave those straps nice and wide so the next person can just slip their feet in and pull on the straps to tighten them up. You should have a good idea of what your damper setting is for the distance that you have decided to row. You need to set that yourself and then get in the rower as quickly as possible. Again, make sure you talk to your team members and you tell them when you're planning to get off the rower. You should have a good idea beforehand how far you're going to row, whether you're going to row 500 meters each, or whether one of you is going to row 1,000 meters and the rest of you all row 330, something like that, whatever it's going to be. And you need to talk to your team members so that they know when you're about to get off the rower and when you're going to stop. The transition needs to be as fast as possible, so just before you get off the rower you should really pull a couple of really good, hard, strong ones to put as much momentum on the flywheel as possible, so when the next person gets on, they have as much momentum on that flywheel as possible. Each time you get on the rower, each time each athlete gets on the rower, you should do basically a sprint start. You should be pulling as hard as you can for 10-15 strokes and then settle into your rhythm. So we move on to the wall ball pull-ups power clean workout, WOD 2. In terms of the wall balls, you want to be thinking about having consistent distance from the wall. A nice easy way of measuring that is just to put out an outstretched arm at 90 degrees and the wall should just touch your fingertips. That's a good place to start. You want to be as consistent as possible. In terms of your transitions, you want to always go male, female, male, female, male, female. Okay? The reason is that you have a different ball and therefore you don't need to lose time in catching the ball or changing positions. You can go straight. The female can already hold the ball, she's already ready to go. The male catches his ball and just gets out of the way, and then the female can step up and start straight away. In terms of your hand position on the ball, if you're able to, rather than hold the ball on the outsides, bring those hands down a little bit, and allows you to generate more push on the ball. You can also play with the angle of your shoulders, of your elbows, to give your shoulders a rest. You can hold them out to the sides and you can hold them out close inside. You want to start your wall balls keeping your feet flat on the ground And as you start to fatigue, you can come up onto your tiptoes and actually start jumping with that wall. Okay? Remember to transition before you get tired, before your movements start to slow down. Never ever go to failure. Alright, on the pull-ups, jumping pull-ups for women, pull-ups for men, chest to bar pull-ups for the fire breathers. Protect your hands, okay? Tape up. You've got 3 WODs to get through. Dealing with a rip through another 2 workouts is pretty uncomfortable, so please tape up your hands. I don't want anybody to rip on this. In terms of the speed for the pull-ups, try and go double overhand for as long as possible with a huge kip. Save your shoulders and arms for the wall balls and the power cleans, and try and get as much kip in there as possible. Again, avoid failure, and also mix your grip as soon as you start getting tired. Okay, one overhand, one underhand, double underhand. Mix it often. Just make sure you hit full extension and chin over the bar at the top. If you're one of our ladies regulars doing the jumping pull-ups, go for speed. Okay, you need to be going as fast as possible, as quickly as possible, for as long as possible. As soon as you start to slow down on the jumping pull-ups, you need to tell your team members and get down. The jumping pull-ups will be very quick, so if you've got a team and you're in the regulars, you probably want to be doing more jumping pull-ups than regular pull-ups. Okay, so if you've got more ladies on your team, that part of the movement, that part of the workout will go fairly quickly. In terms of the clean, also, you want to be protecting your hands. You want to be taping your thumbs, especially on the return of the clean and on the pull of the clean. A lot of pressure goes on the thumb, and you lose the skin fairly quickly. I'd like you to really concentrate on technique. Everybody has a tendency to pull early with their arms, so I'd like you to really try and finish the movement. Full extension with the shoulders. Get those shoulders all the way up. Open those hips completely, and then get under the bar. If the weight is too heavy for you to power clean, you should consider split cleaning it. I don't think anybody out there has a wonderful squat clean, so go ahead and try split cleaning. Just make sure you bring your feet back underneath your hips for the rep to count. Break down the cleans in smaller pieces, 2 or 3 reps, 5 reps if you can handle it. And again, if you've got a strong athlete with the cleans, you might want to ask them to do a few more reps if they're able to, for as long as possible. Again, make sure you avoid failure. At the end of the wall ball pull-up clean workout, each individual athlete on his own has to do 1 complete round. So if you've got a weak athlete, or somebody who can't complete one of the movements, make sure you put them last. There's a 1-second penalty for each incomplete rep, so you will get the lowest number of penalty points if that person performs their round last. Well, that's it for WODs 1 and 2. I'll give you a few more tips on WODs 3, 4 and 5 in an upcoming video.